Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Well, let's fight breast cancer today on Lifestyle Tucson, but that doesn't just mean save the Ta Tas. Breast cancer may be most often found in women, but 1 out of every 100 breast cancers diagnosed in the United States is found in men. Eric Hanson, a retired Air Force Senior Master Sergeant, knows this all too well because he was diagnosed with breast cancer. But spoiler alert, he beat it because he's a tough American hero, like all who serve in our nation's military, as well as a tough son of a bitch, like all cancer survivors. Can I say tough son of a bitch on the radio? I just did, yeah. But there was Eric sharing a pint with his friends and family following his last radiation treatment in 2018 when he realized the similarity between the words pint and pink. Thus, the Pints for Pink nonprofit charitable organization was launched. And today, I'm fortunate enough to speak with Eric Hanson, founder and director of Pints for Pink. Eric, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Hey, thanks, Frank. It's awesome to be here. Thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Heck yeah, I've been looking forward to talking to you. We've been meaning to do it for a while. And first and foremost, thank you for your service.
It was an honor to serve, absolutely. Thank you.
How long were you in the military?
I was in the Air Force for 24 and a half years, and they say that if you break it down to the half years, that tells how much fun you had while you were in the Air Force. So,
yeah.
Yes, sir, 24 and a half years.
Heck yeah, well done. I want to jump right to it. When did you find out? Were you still in the Air Force when you started to discover that you have breast cancer?
No, sir. I retired from the Air Force in 2007, after which my wife and I moved to the Tucson area. And it wasn't until, as you mentioned, in 2017 when we first started figuring out something just wasn't right. And that's when we started figuring out that I might be up against something bigger than I thought.
I believe that when it comes to breast cancer men, is it called invasive ductal carcinoma, as cancer cells begin in the ducts and then they grow outside into other parts of the breast tissue? Is that what it is?
That is absolutely correct, yeah. And the way I started out is I felt a lump in my chest. Mm-hmm. And being a hard-headed man, which I am, and which most people are, of the male sex, were pretty much hard-headed. I felt the lump in my chest, and I said, "Oh, cool! It's a mosquito bite. Yeah, it's a mosquito bite." But then I realized I was the luckiest person in Tucson to have a mosquito bite that didn't itch. And I'm saying, it might not be a mosquito bite. Then, of course, it's an ingrown hair. I kept giving it titles, and I kept passing it off as something other than something I needed to check.
How big was it when you when someone says oh, you're supposed to feel a little lump? How big was it?
It was about the size of a lima bean.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So not insignificant, but certainly not what is this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And it from the time I first identified it, it continued to grow, not exponentially, but I could tell from the beginning to the end that it had changed in its size.
How quickly does this happen? Because again, I really want to kind of have your experience. A lot of people don't get to meet, male breast cancer survivors and really walk us through some of these first days and then how long it was. All right, now you start to notice it's growing. When did you finally be oh, this is a problem? Was it a couple weeks, a month? How long?
It was months. It was absolutely months. Again, because I kept putting it off. And then finally, I asked my wife, Erica, if she could go ahead and just check it real quick for me. And thankfully, back when she was in her early 20s, we lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and she worked for the Mutual of Omaha. And they had a breast cancer symposium, which she attended. And at that symposium, you could feel the prosthetic breasts, and you could feel what different tumors would feel like. And as soon as she touched my breast, she immediately said, "Babe, you got to get this checked."
Wow.
And come to find out, after we went through our surgeries, our radiation and stuff, I was invited to a symposium myself, and they had the same setup there. And the first prosthetic breast that I felt exactly like the tumor that was in my chest.
That's interesting. Where can people discover some of these symposiums? Where do these things sort of occur?
Absolutely. What I would do is just stay connected with your local healthcare community. We just had one. The Arizona Cancer Center had one in early October, but especially in the October timeframe, a lot of these will pop up. And I just encourage everybody at least once to stop by, gather some information, and to see what it could be like to feel a lump in your own chest.
Yeah, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as we all do know, so get as much information as you can. And you even got some information on your website at Pints for Pink where people can get some information on what to look for and this sort of thing. I saw a tab about that.
Absolutely, and that's the key thing that we really try to do with the Pints for Pink Foundation, and we'll go into the birth of that here in a little bit. Not only do we want to raise funds for breast cancer research, we really want to raise awareness in men that it can affect us as well.
It does. Again, it's 1 out of every 100, and 500 men die every year from breast cancer. So that's not nothing. That's something to think about and something to acknowledge. And again, some of those people probably didn't have to go. It's just that they were stubborn or hard-headed, or they weren't informed, and the fact that your wife just happened to attend something years ago that ends up saving your life is a big deal. I always talk about the opportunities for free classes that I talk about some of these organizations, whether it's CPR, infant CPR, these things like that you never know. Something you attend can really save a life a decade later. So who knows? So go get all that information, and I'll give you some more websites you can go check out on the recap and all that. But you know what? That's enough. Because your cancer's old news.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. We got rid of that. Yesterday's garbage. Yeah. So let's talk about what you conceived of on that fateful night in 2018 with Pints for Pink, and give us a little 101 of what Pints for Pink's all about, because it's great.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a great opportunity to give back. After I did my partial mastectomy and then 6 weeks of daily radiation, I was just whooped. I was absolutely beat down. And prior to my diagnosis, I really loved craft beers. I think the art of craft beers is just amazing, how people can develop certain tastes and certain styles. And so I wanted to go to my favorite local brewery. It was Dillinger Brewery. I sat down across the bar from the owner, Eric Sipe, and I saw how close the words Pint and Pink were. And I said, let's do something. Let's just do something. And so the Pints for Pink mantra was located, and we found it at that point in time. We got together, and my first thought process was we'd have one event once a year in October. We'd get together, a whole bunch of guys, drink beer, talk about breast cancer. And it has really skyrocketed since then. We are currently in 6 different states.
Wow.
We just found out yesterday that Tennessee is coming on board. We have 3 breweries in Tennessee that just came on board.
There you go.
And so it's just really, really a great opportunity. And with the Pints for Pink Foundation, what we do through the responsible consumption of craft beers, we raise funds, again, and as I mentioned earlier, awareness in men. The great thing about it is 70% of all the money raised stays local.
Okay.
And so, as a matter of fact, here in Arizona, the only National Cancer Institute approved research center is the U of A Cancer Center. So 70% of all the funds raised stay local at a National Cancer Institute approved research center. 15% of it goes nationwide to national research initiatives. And then the other 15 stays behind with the foundation so that we can buy stickers and pink wristbands and pens and all that cool stuff.
Yep.
But it's just going great, and the reach is really, really impressive. We're now out in Alaska as well. So if you're ever up in the Skagway area of Alaska, stop into Skagway Brewery, and chances are you'll be supporting Pints for Pink.
That's fantastic. I do love that I watched how all of this has grown over on the website, where they're like, oh, it started here. We were just going to do it right on the block. The block got pretty big because this many states, and it's growing, and even Tennessee joining along just the other day. So you're growing exponentially every single day. That's really impressive. How big do you think that it can get? And then what would you do with this network?
And that's awesome. What we're hoping to do in our strategic plan is that we're going to try to grow 3 states at a time.
Okay.
And I think that's sustainable growth for our foundation.
Sure.
We have individuals in certain parts of the country who are either friends or family members who help with that growth. And again, there was a research that just came out probably a couple of months ago, and it was from one of the cancer centers in Tennessee. And it's a major research project, and that's now going to be one of the cancer centers that we're supporting through our efforts in Tennessee.
That's incredible. Now, I have a stat. The first year you did it, You raised about $4,000, which was way more than you thought would happen at this thing that you just thought was like, we're just going to get together. How much money have you raised now since you've been doing this?
Overall, our contributions to the University of Arizona Cancer Center have been over $8,000.
Nice.
And this year we're looking at pushing that well over 12, hopefully closer to $15,000.
See, that's that exponential growth that you're going to constantly be doing this. And I bet when we're talking again in a decade, and this is in 50 states, you're going to be like, well, we donated $100,000 this year, and it looks like it's 120 next. Because that's how organizations like yours do grow. You know, there really is something to see when it comes to how quickly this has all grown. And even in spite of a pandemic that was there in the middle of it, where, you know, getting together is tough. But I'll tell you, you might be able to still have drinks on a Zoom call. So I don't know if that happened.
Absolutely. And what we did, and that's a great point, Frank. What we did is we used that lull in our growth to sit there and really take a close look at what we're doing and if we're doing it right. We really came out of there saying that we can do the growth that we want to do. Most of it's one-on-one contact. Every time I go on vacation, no matter where I go, the wife allows me to have one day. She calls it my brewery day.
Yeah.
And I go around and I share the stories with breweries throughout the country. And that's the best way to grow it. The one thing that I have promised is that Tucson, Arizona will always be the epicenter of Pints for Pink.
Nice.
If St. Louis came in and a lot of big breweries came in and wanted to be part of it, that's great. Founders in Michigan, if they came on board, the heartbeat started here. And that's why I want the epicenter to stay here. I want the majority of the breweries to be here in Tucson, because I just really believe in being true to your school when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, and Tucson, when it comes to local, I always call Tucson's the Baby Bears porridge. It's just right. Right. And we have so many great local brewers and a lot of great local beers. Name drop some of the people that you've been partnering with, because there's a lot of great organizations around here, and everyone should go on a little beer crawl, try them out, go check them out.
Absolutely. And the great thing this year, we developed a strawberry cream ale, and it's called Let's Berry Cancer.
Really?
Berry spelt as in strawberry.
Nice.
And it's a fantastic beer. Thanks to Tony over at Black Rock Brewery, who opened up his doors, allowed us to do the collab over there. The collab involved Black Rock, Barrio, and the good folks down at Dillinger. We all got together, had a nice brew day. You never realize how much work goes into brewing beer.
Oh yeah,
until you're knee deep in it.
Absolutely, a palm full of hops goes a long way, and it's really just down to a science. They have that stuff down to a science.
Absolutely, and the beer's going quick. The beer is absolutely going quick. It's over at Harbottle. It's at Gentle Ben's. It's over at Black Rock, of course, and Barrio. They still have some on tap. So if you get a chance, get out there and try it. Again, it's Let's Berry Cancer, and it is a tasty, tasty beer.
That's exciting. Let's Berry Cancer. I love it. What a good message and a good thing to do. And I bet it's delicious. I love strawberry. So I might have to try that. Do you have another one that you think you're going to work on?
Well,
for
the great thing about it is you bringing up next year, we're already planning for next year. Our folks up in Skagway, they've been huge supporters of the Pints for Pink Foundation, and we always do our release. Our first release happens at Dillinger. The first keg gets tapped at Dillinger. And again, being true to my roots, being true to my school, the folks up in Skagway reached out to us and said, can we go a little bit earlier? Because come the middle of September, late September, it's already got a foot of snow up there, and they're talking about not seeing the sun. And so the board, the Pints for Pink board, decided that we're going to let them drive the train this year. We told them that if they want to get together and have a brew day in March, and they want to do a release in April, because their breast cancer walk is actually in June.
Okay.
And we told them, go ahead and do it. You guys name it. You guys come up with the style you want, and then just share as much of the recipes you want to with us, and we'll go ahead and try to mimic that down here. We'll release the same name, the same style, and hopefully as close to what they're doing up there.
Wow. That's fascinating. Again, coming up with the idea that because of local areas, and this is all getting nationwide, even Alaska there, you might have to just come up with seasonals, because everybody is going to have a different season or a different time that they do these sorts of things, a different time to go out, take a walk and have a walkathon or raise money for that. So that's really important. The idea that you could have a seasonal beer, because strawberry is a bit more of a spring or a summer drink. So if they already got snow on the ground, they're moving on to those winter beverages. So that might be something to think about. How exciting. Let's start working on the puns now. That's so fun. I bet that's in your future. Seasonal beers, that's really fun. A new one every quarter. different regions, different areas. There's a lot of growth.
And the one thing, though, when it comes to cancer research is we don't know what we find out in breast cancer research that might translate over into prostate cancer, translate over into lung cancer. We just don't know what advances in any of the research centers that is going on, how it's going to bleed over into other areas of cancer. Yeah. And so I think it's super important that we continue to support all cancer research. And just because of my background, I'm a big supporter of breast cancer research on this side.
Right. And that's the way things work. I mean, a lot of us are like, it's a human nature thing. My family cares about MS because I don't know where my brother got MS. He's doing great. Everything's fine. But that's the walks we go to. That's the charities my parents donate to. When you feel yourself getting inspired, get inspired and make a mission for you to help others, to guide others, and to get community together. Because again, like I said earlier, Tucson's the baby bear's porridge. It's just right. You can really connect and network and get things done here a lot faster and continue to do them where they don't fall apart like in other big areas where there's too much in the way. So starting a nonprofit here in Tucson, there's probably a big reason why we are like the most nonprofits per capita are in Arizona. It is amazing that you have the heartbeat of it right here and that it's going to stay here, because I think that is what's going to really make it grow. I've been chatting for too much there now. I want to hear more from you. So inspire some people for me, because when you did have to get to work, there it was on the day and hey, this word is that. And then now you have a website and an organization. It's a lot of days in between that. How much work was it to get the organization started in Pints for Pink?
It was a lot of work, a lot more than I had originally expected.
Yeah.
Getting everything situated with the IRS and then with the Arizona Corporation Commission, getting all the paperwork filed, getting the board set up, the bylaws. It was a lot of work.
How long did it really take?
It probably took from the time of the initial concept to the time that we were fully up and running as a 501c3, probably took close to 6 months.
Okay. Hey, that's actually a lot quicker than I thought you were going to say.
Yes. 6 months. We grabbed some bylaws. We put those together. We have a small board, which made it much easier. We developed the board. We voted the bylaws and approved the bylaws. So there was a lot of things to do. And again, it was like chasing cats because I had no idea what needed to be done.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a lot of, as you pointed out, we have a lot of nonprofits here in the area. And I reached out to some of them and they made sure, okay, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that. And so the camaraderie here in Arizona is just phenomenal. Everybody wants to help everybody else.
Yes.
It's not like I got my piece of the pie, I'm going to just sit here and eat it. And that really made it much easier for us. And we've been able to, I've been able to reach out to a nonprofit in Iowa who was just standing up, and I was able to share with them some of the software that we use to track our finances.
Wow.
And it was just, we could talk about it, why I liked it, why I didn't like it. And it's just really, really been a blessing.
That's huge, because I always try to get people to help other people, because you're out there really trying to spread a message that's nothing but positive, only helps people. So getting that help from other organizations is brilliant. And I implore anyone, if you're really, going after a project, ask for help. Ask for help. You're going to hit a decision that you don't know the answer to, and someone out there has that answer.
And that's how we came about getting our social media network stood up. Is a young lady I asked for help out on the internet. I'm a member of a security forces group on Facebook, and I said, this is what I'm doing. I could use some help with a web page, keeping up with social media, and she jumped up and said, let me volunteer to do that.
There you go.
And what she does is she bills the foundation $240 a month for her work, and then she credits it out to a zero and just makes it a donation to the foundation.
Look at that.
So there's a lot of opportunities out there. If you don't think you can get something, just ask. Somebody out there can help you get it.
Yep. And if you're looking for something to do, what's that keyword every time? It's volunteer. That's what you want to do. So you can donate money, of course. You can donate to the cause, but you can donate your time and volunteer and get involved. You have a lot of great annual events. You just wrapped one up. How did it go? Tell me about what you just did.
It was great. Yeah, the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk just finished up on October the 15th. It was absolutely fantastic. Special thanks to the folks out there at the U of A Tech Park who opened up their beautiful complex to us for that. We had well over 2,000 walkers, And we raised, as of last count, we're over $110,000, and we're still bringing in money for till the end of the year. So that went great. It was just really, really nice to be part of that. The weather was perfect, lots of pink out there, and a beautiful location to do it.
Heck yeah. What other events do you have? So look for that because it's going to come back next year again. Anything we talk about, you're doing them all the time. What other events and charitable things you got going on?
Absolutely. What we're doing, a lot of events, especially through probably the middle of September through the middle of November, is we have Pints for Pink events out with all of our breweries who are part of the collaboration. We had a fantastic event on October the 12th with our partners over at Barrio, where we're out there, we're giving out swag, we're talking, we're telling the story, we're enjoying beers, laughing, crying, whatever we need to do. And it was really, really a great turnout. We've done ours at Harbottle. Voltron came over and invited us to be part of their Oktoberfest.
Nice.
So that was fantastic. And this year is unfortunately going to be the last year of us dealing with our home base, Dillinger Brewery, which is being sold.
Oh, really?
And so I'm looking forward to partnering with the new group who purchased Dillinger Brewery. But our kickoff always will happen at Dillinger. And so now that Dillinger has moved on, Eric Sipe and his crew are moving on to bigger and better things.
There you go.
We'll be looking at another place to do our kickoff next year.
That's fantastic news. Hey, you got to love it. I love hearing that people are succeeding. That's fascinating. I don't know if a lot of people know that they're getting sold. That's breaking news right here on Lifestyle Tucson. Lastly, before we run out of time, if you had one wish for your organization, just what would it be?
I think it's really important for us to continue as an organization to drive home in men the importance of early detection. Overall, in breast cancer, the mortality rate is going down, which is fantastic. The only area is where it's going up is in men. We delay getting checked. We have to break the nut with our medical providers as well. In Kansas, there was the youngest male ever diagnosed with breast cancer. He was a rock star athlete in high school, 17 years old, went in for his physical, his sports physical, and they felt the lump in his chest. And the doc says it's a calcium deposit, just keep an eye on it. And so some 7 years later, he finally went to a different doctor, and they did a mammogram, a biopsy, and he ended up having a double mastectomy at the age of 24. And so it's super important. If you feel something, get it checked. If you come across any of the things that you should be looking for when it comes to checking yourself out, if your nipple starts to dimple, if you feel a lump, if you have discharge, if you have itching, anything that is not normal, please take the time. Early detection is so key in all the cancers. But when we're dealing with some hard-headed men, it's really important to take the time to get that checked. Ask somebody to check it for you, a sister, your wife, whoever. If you feel something, say something and have them check it out for you.
There you go. Don't make the man beg, all right? He was military. That's an order, all right? So get it done. Listen to him, because today we made friends with Eric Hanson, founder and director of Pints for Pink. Cheers, sir. Let's have a drink. Thank you for being on Lifestyle Tucson.
Gross. Thank you.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing, bong, bing. Time for a recap. What a fine conversation I just had with Eric. I learned a lot about how to really know what I'm looking for, what I'm feeling for when it comes to my own health and breast cancer. It's pretty fascinating, and it's really a good resource over at pintsforpink.com. So that's the number 4. You can also find them on Facebook at Pints4Pink, as well as following them on Instagram at Pints4Pink. Learn a lot, and make sure you're taking care of yourself. And again, go volunteer. Look for their events that are going to come around. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, is always around the autumn season. So be aware of what's going on in the community. Get out there, volunteer, and get involved with everything going on, especially if you care about this sort of thing. And you should. Make it your mission. I like that call to action that I had as I re-listened to this. Make it your mission to do something, volunteer, get involved with an organization, something you care about, and go out and do that sort of thing. That's what you got to do around here. Take some action. You want to do. And I want to thank our new friends at Pints for Pink for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are surviving and thriving. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.